I don't know what to say. I know that I think Cal is a really good basketball team. This conference is amazing. I thought Lindsay and her staff did an excellent job preparing her team, especially the third game in 3 days for them. So all the credit to them. They gave us everything they had. And at the same time, I could tell you at the beginning of the game, even when we were down 14, by looking in Jordin Canada's eyes, that it was going to come around. I really was never worried. I know that young lady. I know how she leads, and I know how she is in big moments, and she just wouldn't let us just even have the thought that we wouldn't find a way to win. Monique Billings has just put in the work, and we always say we're not born for this, we're built for this. We have trained hard, we've played a top 10 schedule in the country, we've been through about every style of play you can imagine, and they have chosen to be people of character that are willing to do the hard things and make the uncommon choices, and I really do think that was the difference in the game. So I couldn't be more proud of the character of our team and the heart that they showed.
Thank you. Michelle in the second row.
Cori, and yet it took Cori Corver to hit a ridiculously big three to save your bacon, as it were.
Yes. Well, I think, it's interesting. Actually, just before I walked down here, Coach Shannon was talking to me about a conversation that her and Cori Corver had yesterday about just how do you handle that and just your frame of mind and where does she need to fix her eyes to make sure she's confident coming into the game today. And and then she didn't even shoot that well the rest of the game. It's just that one big shot. That kid puts in more time. She had a basketball hoop at her house named the scholarship, okay? So that was the name of the hoop, was the scholarship. But she's been putting in the work, and her teammates never doubted. As soon as we called that play, you should have seen in the huddle, all their heads were like, yeah, we'll get her a shot, we got it. And, she just hit that shot in a really, really big moment. But I love the confidence you had to fight for when I think she was 0 for 8 over the last 2 days, and you got to fight to keep your mind right for that. And what was it? 0 for 12, excuse me, sorry. 0 for 12. So I'm not a numbers girl, I was a sociology major. But bottom line is I just love the confidence she showed to come up with 0 for 12 and to have the biggest shot to put us into overtime. And then I knew the momentum was ours and we could play the tempo we wanted to play.
Cori, when the buzzer sounded, you took a deep breath and you wiped a bunch of sweat off your brow. You said, you didn't worry at any point because you have Jordin on your team, but what was going through your mind right then?
Well, I didn't worry that we were going to come back and do great things, but I was still nervous wreck the entire time. But I really, those are fun. I just think our conference is so fun, and it's one thing to have the #1 RPI conference in the country, but it's another thing to prove it in a conference tournament like this. The different, lower seeds that have had huge wins, and obviously Cal the biggest in their run, it just proves how phenomenally deep this conference is. But, as a coach, you sort of lose, you don't really have much control in these games. We always tell our players, there's no X's and O's, there's not the perfect play that's going to get called. Really, it's me trusting that you're going to go make plays, and sometimes that's really nerve-wracking.
Tom, you still have, okay. Lindsay?
I have a follow-up to that, Cori. You came from, Florida State back east, and you just said that this is the best conference, in the country. I think most people in this room would agree, but a lot of games are played when a lot of people are asleep back east. Do you worry at all that come NCAA, tournament time that people are not going to respect the conference?
Well, I sure hope that our body of work this year and the work we've done to publicize being the #1 conference in the country, I trust our committee. I trust the NCAA selection committee isn't going to sleep when all the Pac-12 games are going on. I trust that the NCAA committee is doing their homework. And, I think if you're going to go by the traditions of what the NCAA tournament committee has honored through the years, you have to honor by volume and by seeding the body of work that this conference has done. So, I think some ignorant fans on the East Coast that maybe go to sleep early don't know how good this conference is, but I do trust that the committee has done their homework and it'll all play out the way it should.
Michelle?
For Jordin and Monique, will you guys just sort of take me through a mindset when you're down by 14, when Cori hits that shot, and then when you're in overtime?
Jordin, you can start.
All right. Well, for me, when we were down by 14, I knew that my team, we weren't going to back down. We fought all season. And it wasn't anything new. The same thing happened when we played Cal the first time at their place, and we battled back. So I wasn't worried when we were down by 14. And when Cori hit that shot to send it into overtime, I even told her before the game, and even in the Arizona game, that one was going to fall. And I just told her to keep shooting. And Cori has the magic touch, and I knew that was just that 1-3 that she hit to send us into overtime. And then in overtime, and I knew we had the momentum, and I knew we were going to win this game, and I'm just proud of my team.
Monique?
Yeah, I agree with Jordin. We've been there before, being down by 14 or however much. So we didn't let that phase us. We just had to just keep chipping away at their lead. And then when Cori hit that shot, I think that just sparked so much energy into our team and just brought so much life back into the game. And I think that really pushed our momentum in the fourth quarter, which allowed us to finish with the win.
Monique, Christine is so good on the block, and you did a really good job against her. What's it like to go against her? And then toward the end, did you feel like she was exhausted? And did you guys talk about that in huddles, about capitalizing on that?
Yeah, I definitely respect her game. She's a baller for sure. And I did notice she was kind of tired, so I thought I would capitalize on that and just try to get into her body and lean on her as much as I can, and just moving my feet, staying active.
Howie Stallwick, Sports Press Northwest. Sorry to take away a little bit from this dramatic win, but
That's okay.
we need some stuff for tomorrow on the title game, which you don't know who you're playing. But could you just talk a little bit about each team and what do you think keys might be against each of them?
Well, we've played them both recently. Played Washington a couple weeks ago down at our place, and obviously we played Oregon State, just 2 weeks ago on their senior night. So, they're very different. Obviously, we want that tempo to be up and down both ways, but I think that Oregon State can do that. They have a lot of depth as well. And we struggled with just their inside game. That was the biggest challenge for us, especially in the second half. I think that was the first half we didn't have Casey Swain. She got hurt at right before halftime, and so I think we're better adjusted. I think Monique's more adjusted. Casey Swain had gotten the hardest defensive post assignment all year long, so we've had some time now to adjust to that, and I think we'll be more ready. It's just the opposite. It's all about really forcing one hard shot with Washington, getting it out of the big three's hands. I know both teams have a big threes, but I think it's a little bit different style with Washington. It's just going to be really important that we make all of their catches difficult, and then we have to run. I thought that was a huge key down at our place, is that we started to get stops out of our zone defense, and then we were able to run, and I thought they wore down late in the fourth quarter.
Jordin,
Monique, did you deal much with Ruth Hamlin in the previous game for Georgia State?
Ruth Hamlin in the previous 2 games, did you deal with her very much?
Yes, I would say it was more so Casey, but we both would switch off on her, and it was both of us.
She's obviously a pretty big girl.
Yeah, she's actually, I don't know, she reminds me of Christine kind of. She just really knows how to use her body. Can't let her get too low in the paint because that's easy 2 buckets. So I just have to do my work early, keep moving my feet, keep an arm bar, as Coach Cori would say, and yeah.
Jordin, what about the guards of of Washington and Oregon State?
Washington, Kelsey Plum, I respect her game so much. I've played against her many, many times in high school, and you just have to respect her game. So it's, just trying to limit her touches as much as possible and just try to pressure her as much as possible. And and Oregon State, they also have great guards that can create for themselves, and they really know how to play well off each other. So it's just also maintaining that pressure and using our defense against them.
Jordin, I was curious. I believe Tara said yesterday that she thinks Kelsey is the best one-on-one player in the conference. Obviously, Jamie Wisner was the player of the year in the conference. You are one of the best defenders in the conference. Who's tougher to guard?
That's a hard question. Both of them are hard to guard. Kelsey and Jamie, they can create for themselves. It's just really difficult trying to keep them in front, but trusting my principles and my defense and knowing who I am and just playing personnel, I just try to do the best that I can.
Cori, do you think one of them is harder to guard one-on-one?
What, are you trying to get me in trouble? No. No. Well, I think they're just really different styles. I think that, Wisner does so much more in terms of post-ups, offensive rebounds, those kinds of things. I think Kelsey relies, even though Wisner has a really high shooting percentage from the three-point line, she doesn't have as many threes per game that she's relying on. They just play such different styles, it's hard to compare. For us, we probably match up easier. We can have multiple people. It matches up better with us to go against Kelsey Plum. But that's because of how our style is in the guards that I have. I think Wisner's a little bit harder matchup for us. Do we go big and not play three guards? Because we play three guards most of the time, so that we match up on our post up. That's really how she hurt us in the second game, was that post up situation. So it's just such different styles. It's hard to compare. I think because of who we are, Kelsey Plum's probably a better matchup for us.